Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. I'm excited to be here today. I first have to just thank you because it makes me so happy to know that people are actually listening to my podcast because I'm really, really bad at the marketing part. I won't even get into that, but yeah, getting the word out is not my forte. So thank you for that. And if you could continue to do that, even just by listening yourself, downloading episodes will help the visibility for people who are listening to podcasts like this and might want to find one like mine, or even just sharing an episode with somebody or giving it a review or something like that. But I'm going to try not to be distracted by my glasses being crooked. Okay, video is another thing, another distraction. I'm going to try to let go of that bit by bit. But today's episode is about helping your brain, stopping the fatigue that can happen in your brain, boosting your brain's power. Even though you might have executive dysfunction, you still have the ability to do things. It's just different. You might have one hand tied behind your back or something to not be able to do it the same as somebody else. And when you have that executive dysfunction and you're not able to get yourself to do something and you have to make a lot of decisions, a daily routine can take out that decision making. You've already made the decision and now you just go through the flow. You're not questioning it because it's working. If there's a major disruption and that routine doesn't get to work one day, that's okay. You can go back to it the next day. So it doesn't mean you have to be so rigid, but there's a lot of freedom in having that daily routine. And it makes a big difference from being either overwhelmed, exhausted, or just feeling like, I should be doing more. Not being able to get yourself to do things that shouldn't be feeling like dragging your feet. They should just be feeling like one step. What is it called? Put one foot in front of another from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But yeah, so you might know that already. You might know I do really well when I have a daily routine, when I have a morning routine, when I wake up and I do the same thing every morning. When you have children, you know that children do well with routines. I wouldn't say they crave routines, but they definitely do better with routine. And school teachers know that. They have them come in, they have them put their backpack here, go and sit at your desk or line up here. They have a routine so the children know what is expected of them and they do it. And the classroom functions better, but the children function better too because they don't have to think about where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? In any situation, when it's unfamiliar like that, it does take more brain power and it can be confusing. And it's, the whole thing of going up to order food and you have no idea what the options are, how it works. Is it a meal deal? Is it it can be exhausting, just something like that. So you look at your own house, or if you have an office, or if you, home office, it could be a workplace. If you don't know what you're going to do when you get there, it's going to be a lot harder to be productive because unless that's part of your day, planning out what you're going to do. But unless you have some structure to it, it's going to be a lot more difficult for your brain. In the last few episodes, I've become really curious about dopamine and serotonin. And I talked about it somewhat last time. And it's kind of like when you finish a phone call and then you think, I forgot to talk to him about this, or I forgot to ask him that. I thought of so many more things. So I'll probably keep talking about dopamine and serotonin. I'm not a doctor. I'm not someone who studied this in college, but I'm studying it now. And it's fascinating to understand how they play a role in our brain's ability to get ourselves to do things, and how ADHD can make it harder for you to have either one of them. And one of the things is stress. So if you have stress in your life, because I could talk about the things like, okay, here's all the things that you can do to get some serotonin in your body. Like being out in the sun. Natural sunlight stimulates the serotonin production. So there are things like that. Exercise, working out in the morning, going for a walk, swimming, cycling, any of those things boosts the serotonin. If you've had the runner's high, I believe that's what it is. But so there can be the things that make it come up. But there are also the things that deplete it. And even a hug can boost serotonin. There are things that help you feel calm inside. A massage, those things that help you feel calm or just at ease. It doesn't have to be mellow, but even just laughing. Sorry, I keep hitting things. I know the microphones are picking it up. But even just laughing can bring a sense of calmness to us, right? Or holding a puppy, holding a baby, if the baby's happy. Or if you've just calmed a baby, the baby's fallen asleep in your arms. So all those things, you think of that, feeling good. So those are the things I said I could talk about, and then of course I talk about it. But what I really want to talk about, so in more depth, is what depletes it. What gets in the way of that serotonin function in your brain and makes it so you don't keep going. So you're trying to get something done and you lose interest, or you can't get yourself to get into a routine. It feels kind of clunky and all that. So there are a lot of things that can get in the way. One is stress. So if you have a routine, it's lowering the stress because you don't have that uncertainty. You don't have to make the decisions. When you're making decisions, if they're not easy for you to make, that can be stressful. Have you ever had a time that you are trying to make a decision, and so you talk to somebody and you run through all the things. Well, if I did this, if I did that, and you just don't know. And in that state, you're in a stressful state. If you have less stress, you have a lower cortisol level. If you have more stress, you have more cortisol. And cortisol is what leads to what they say, like things like the belly fat. Not that we're just trying to do this because of that, but the stress hormone causes different problems in the body, even just how we're put together, how our bodies are. It causes problems for our nervous system to be in that fight or flight mode. It makes it harder to sleep. So we all know all that, right? But it also makes it so the brain doesn't have as much capacity to produce serotonin or to receive the serotonin. There's receptors in the brain. And, oh, dang it. So sometimes I'm going to have to turn off my video and keep talking to you on audio. Every once in a while, this bye-bye to you video people. Hello again to you YouTube people and all my audio listeners, which is most of you. Thank you for being patient because I want to figure this out. It's kind of funny because I've mentioned before, my YouTube videos might have 1 or 5 views. So with the actual video. But one day I had like 350. Now I think it's up to 400. I have no idea why. I think it's all about where YouTube puts it, and then people find it and they click on it. But it was kind of bizarre. So in case this becomes a 400 watching, and I know some people have thousands and hundreds of thousands, but in case there's 400, I'm just trying to get it to not be too frustrating here. But back to the stress. So serotonin. High cortisol does a few things that interferes with serotonin. It uses up your resources. Cortisol demands a lot of energy and nutrients, and it doesn't leave as much for serotonin production. Don't ask me how that works, but that's what experts say. And then just as there are dopamine receptors, I told you before about how my psychiatrist told me it's not that you don't produce enough dopamine, it's just that you have more receptors or need more to satisfy the receptors. So, might be, I mentioned the landlord, like the rent costs more. So even though you have the same amount of dopamine as somebody else, you need more to pay that person. But it could even just be they're just a greedy landlord. So it could be the same amount of receptors. He told me that we have more dopamine receptors, but I don't know for sure if that's true. I saw that it can be kind of a blend of too many receptors or the receptors needing more to actually fire and work right. So stress hormones can actually disrupt the receptors from receiving the serotonin. So the serotonin has a purpose to keep us calm, to keep us on target, to get us to do things, to be in a flow of things. If we are calm to begin with, so it's just kind of this vicious circle kind of thing, or kind of a happy circle, because we start the right way. If you have the calmness from a daily routine, from planning something out, from making your system smoother, streamlining your system, making it so you don't forget things as easily and you're not running back and forth last minute and arriving later, whatever. Or just trying to get dressed and not being able to find socks, that kind of thing. All of that adds to stress. So if you can set yourself up for success, you will have lower stress. It won't disrupt the serotonin receptors receiving what you have. It'll produce more serotonin by doing something you're happy, you're in a groove, all of that. And then also stress hormones, cortisol, can disrupt your sleep. And when you have poor sleep, it lowers the serotonin because serotonin is needed to make melatonin. It's all just interacting together. So the basics are, we know we need our sleep. We know we need less stress. And we know we need a routine. And the part that we seem to have the most, like I'm in control, I can make this happen, is to develop a routine and to develop a system in your day, your week, or whatever, so that it's going smoothly. Hello again to you YouTube people and all my audio listeners, which is most of you. Thank you for being patient because I want to figure this out. It's kind of funny because I've mentioned before, my YouTube videos might have 1 or 5 views so with the actual video. But one day I had like 350, now I think it's up to 400. I have no idea why. I think it's all about where YouTube puts it and then people find it and they click on it. But it was kind of bizarre. So in case this becomes a 400 watching, and I know some people have thousands and hundreds of thousands, but in case there's 400, I'm just trying to get it to not be too frustrating here. But back to the stress. So serotonin. High cortisol does a few things that interferes with serotonin. It uses up your resources. Cortisol demands a lot of energy and nutrients, and it doesn't leave as much for serotonin production. Don't ask me how that works, but that's what experts say. And then just as there are dopamine receptors, I told you before about how my psychiatrist told me it's not that you don't produce enough dopamine, it's just that you have more receptors or need more to satisfy the receptors. So, might be, I mentioned the landlord, like the rent costs more. So even though you have the same amount of dopamine as somebody else, you need more to pay that person. But it could even just be they're just a greedy landlord. So it could be the same amount of receptors. He told me that we have more dopamine receptors, but I don't know for sure if that's true. I saw that it can be kind of a blend of too many receptors or the receptors needing more to actually fire and work right. So stress hormones can actually disrupt the receptors from receiving the serotonin. So the serotonin has a purpose to keep us calm, to keep us on target, to get us to do things, to be in a flow of things. If we are calm to begin with, so it's just kind of this vicious circle kind of thing, or kind of a happy circle, because we start the right way. If you have the calmness from a daily routine, from planning something out, from making your system smoother, streamlining your system, making it so you don't forget things as easily and you're not running back and forth last minute and arriving later, whatever. Or just trying to get dressed and not being able to find socks, that kind of thing. All of that adds to stress. So if you can set yourself up for success, you will have lower stress. It won't disrupt the serotonin receptors receiving what you have. It'll produce more serotonin by doing something you're happy, you're in a groove, all of that. And then also stress hormones, cortisol, can disrupt your sleep. And when you have poor sleep, it lowers the serotonin because serotonin is needed to make melatonin. It's all just interacting together. So the basics are, we know we need our sleep. We know we need less stress. And we know we need a routine. And the part that we seem to have the most, like I'm in control, I can make this happen, is to develop a routine and to develop a system in your day, your week, or whatever, so that it's going smoothly. So there are other explanations about serotonin. I'm not going to get into all of them, but just briefly, that when you lower stress, it helps you have a healthy balance of dopamine, serotonin, and different things that help with mood, focus, motivation. And we know about the sleep, digestion even helps digestion. But what happens, so if you look at just how your habits can change or how your day can look, whether you have a high stress day or a low stress day, if you have a high stress day, you might skip a meal, you might not eat as nutritiously. And the nutrients help produce the serotonin. And they help you, like, I don't know if you've heard about when you eat turkey, that it has tryptophan in it and you feel really calm and relaxed, like you're going to fall asleep. That's the serotonin levels going up. There are other foods that can give you that, maybe not in such a high dose. So if you've ever felt that way, and it might just be being full too, but you're kind of like, in a little la-la land. But you might also just be inside all day. Never get outside, take a walk. It's more stressful. You haven't been out in nature. Being out in nature, hopefully, if there's not a lot of bugs, can help you be a little more calm. And if you're worrying a ton, you are thinking, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. You're thinking all these other things, that's going to lead to the stress. So you can see kind of that whole circle again. Because you're stressed, the things that you are doing aren't as good for producing serotonin. They're not as good for having that dopamine, that uplift and stuff. You're more troubled or whatever. And when you have a day, not that life is always going to be all perfect and rosy, but if you at least have some kind of routine, you might have the same thing for breakfast every day. You might set yourself up for success by making meals in advance on a Saturday or something, or even just, really simplified. It doesn't have to be egg white cups or something like that. My daughter's been making egg cups. And the thing that I like to make are oatmeal cups where they don't have flour in them. I like muffins too, but oatmeal cups are simpler with just oatmeal. And I usually do pumpkin and chocolate chips and a little bit of maple syrup or something. And you bake them still. They're not as big as a muffin, but they're more dense and they don't have the flour in it. Not that I never eat flour, but just, an option. But if you have something to just grab and go, no decision in the process. You just know, this is what I'm going to eat before I leave. This is what I'm going to drink when I wake up. This is what I'm going to do. And there are other things that just can even help you get to that point. So the stimulants that maybe you're taking medication, maybe you drink coffee, maybe you have an energy drink in the morning, or you drink ice water. Do you drink something really cold? I know there's always information about something that's good or bad, but I was thinking about it with the dopamine boost. What have I done in my life for years to get me to be going in the morning? And drinking ice water, like getting ice and drinking water and chewing on ice. And I know my dentists have told me not to chew on ice and stuff. But I think that is a stimulant for me, is to chew on ice, to have my mouth and my throat be completely cold as much as possible throughout the day. Ask the people in my life. I am that person. And if you hate to hear the sound of chewing, I'm sorry, you may not want to be around me because that's what I love to do. But that is a stimulant for me. If you think about your mornings, what do you do? What have you done for years, maybe even before you knew you had ADHD, that helped you wake up and get going? And maybe you've struggled with that. Maybe you haven't been able to do that. Or maybe you realize, if I exercise in the morning, I'll do so much better the rest of the day. Or if I wake up early and shower. I've been taking cold showers more. I've struggled with showers. I think I've shared that before on my episode about the dread factor, when you start to dread things. Or maybe you've always dreaded it, like I've always dreaded and not liked washing my face. But and I was just looking on Reddit, because there's, the ADHD women's group, and there's probably an ADHD adult one too. I don't know if they're called groups on Reddit, but that's just what I'm going to call this up. And someone was saying something like, I've been reading a lot of people have hygiene issues because of ADHD. And I thought, well, not wanting to take a shower doesn't necessarily mean you have hygiene issues, does it? if you find other ways to clean yourself. But one way is to not even wait for the water to get hot. If you don't have, immediate hot water, is just to get in that cold shower and just pretend like I'm washing my hands really fast, get out, and just use dry shampoo. My friend Stacy she did something where you went at least a month without washing your hair, and she exercised every day to the point of being sweaty. So she managed it. She had beautiful hair. She still does. She has way better hair than I do. And hey, Stacy, you're out there. She says she has ADHD too. Undiagnosed. But I'm pretty sure she does. And anyway, she had total good hygiene, but was not shampooing her hair. And I don't even think it was because she didn't take a shower. She probably took a shower. But there are other ways to clean. So you don't have to have hygiene issues if you don't do those things. What was my point? Oh, your morning routine. If it includes a shower, mine has before. It's really fun. If it includes putting on makeup first, or not putting on makeup, or grabbing a hat and going, then that's fantastic. But if you can get into a groove, and especially if it includes things that are important to you. So when you're setting up your morning routine, you're saying what is essential. Having enough time, then the first thing is what time do you wake up? Actually, the first thing is probably what time do I go to bed? Because if you want to be able to get up at a certain time, you need to be able to go to bed at a certain time so that you don't have a high stress day. You need to get enough sleep, and you need to get yourself into that routine so your body will naturally fall asleep more easily. Might not as easily. You might have a busy brain. You might take ADHD medication that does disrupt that. Finding what works for you for sleep. I might make another episode about sleep, but listening to something in your ears, don't feel bad about it if you have to go digital at night and it helps you fall asleep to listen to white noise or a calm story or a calm podcast episode. That's my thing. I just paid Patreon for the podcast that I listen to so that their commercials don't wake me up. I liked it better when they didn't have commercials, but they have to make a living, I guess. Anyway, they have to make it work. It's not cheap. I'll just tell you right now, it's not cheap having a podcast, but it is fun. So low stress day. So this is your routine day. It's eating nutritious foods. The internet says balanced meals. I'm not going to say that. Because you get to define what's balanced and you get to define what's a meal. Don't feel the pressure of having a full-on meal. If you're still getting your nutrition, don't feel like it has to match what people have traditionally eaten forever. Or, if you're healthy and you're able to get fruits and vegetables in a smoothie or a soup. Smoothies and soups are the best things for adding fruits and vegetables that you may or may not taste. So, have you ever figured that out yet? It's one of the greatest secrets, because maybe you don't like a lot of vegetables. Maybe you do. Maybe you like them, but it's a huge hassle to cook and cut them up and things like that. So you buy some frozen vegetables, you throw them in a soup. You just buy those soups that are in a box instead of a can. Tomato soup or butternut squash is really good. And the Imagine brand, obviously nobody's listening to me. I don't get paid to advertise. The Imagine brand is more expensive, but I think it's a lot better than the Pacific. But the butternut squash soup, the tomato, those are great bases to just throw in vegetables. And even if you don't want to taste the vegetable when you're eating it, just use one of those hand blenders, or if you've got a big blender, blend it up first. Becomes creamy. You don't even taste it. It's the soup is the hot smoothie, and the smoothie is the cold smoothie. So in the cold smoothies, you can add in greens. You can buy your greens and freeze them. The big boxes of kale, spinach, or bags. I usually get the boxes because they take up a lot of room in the freezer. But if you freeze them right away and use the handfuls frozen, put them right in, they taste good. If you let them thaw, it doesn't taste it. It's like it's some gas or something. It doesn't taste good. But after years of buying greens that I had to throw away because I'd keep forgetting them that I had them, the frozen is the way to go. And same with the frozen vegetables. I mean, fresh vegetables are good too. And if you're okay with that, it is fun. It's a tactile thing. It is fun to cut them and wash them and stuff, but it makes a bigger mess. And if you don't want to make a mess in your kitchen, then make the smoothies, make the soup, and wash your blender as fast as you can when you're done, because it's a lot harder to wash later. So that's my little mini workshop on nutrition. But if you have a balanced meal, if you have something, it doesn't have to be balanced. It's something that can fill you up and give you nutrients and move your body in some way. So that's your lower stress day. You're able to move, you're able to relax. I don't know if you like yoga like I do. Do some yoga. Just lay down and put your legs up the wall. If you haven't seen my Lie Down and Let Go video, it's on my website. It's free to do. You literally just lay on the floor and take your legs and have the wall support them. Well, the wall is one of my favorite yoga props. And even if it's a door, lock the door so no one's coming in, and just let your legs relax straight up, or they can go wider. But always do it slowly, because I sprained something, or I don't know, before the sprain? It's the strained muscle. By your feet are heavier, so if you just let the legs go out, you might not be warmed up for that. But yeah, that's your low stress day. Putting your feet up in the air. If you don't have wall space, go to your couch or your bed, lay down and just put your calves and your feet on there. Let the rest of you lay down. Put the feet up in the air. And it will really help the stress level lower. Just lay there and breathe and think about good things. Let go of everything else. If you really have to, you just think about breathing. But yeah. So serotonin production works better when we're not stressed. You're steady, consistent. Doesn't that sound lovely? Have a steady, consistent life. Honestly, with my podcast, I need a day that's just like, this is my recording day, because I have not been consistent. That may have to be my thing that I need to be accountable to you for, is to choose a day and have that be my recording day. And not only that, because I have chosen that before, but actually have my recording time. And I had lots of excuses before. We always do, right? But one of them was that my yoga schedule can change a lot, but I freed up my Mondays more. And today's a Monday. This is for my Tuesday episode. Yeah, so I need to do that. But yeah, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Think about yourself and your own schedule. What are you doing that's not consistent, that you want to be consistent in? What are you not including in your morning routine? Maybe you don't feel like flossing at night, so make flossing your morning routine. Put that dental floss by the soap at your sink when you wake up and you go to the bathroom and wash your hands. There's the dental floss. It really doesn't take very long. And even though maybe you like it, but if you don't like it, look at the clock, look at the second hand and see it really doesn't take that long. And it makes such a difference. My dental hygienist was so happy with me when I went a few weeks ago. She's like, I don't see any bleeding. I was like, yay, my flossing paid off. But, okay, so let's go to, I want to talk about dopamine too. So the dopamine is what helps us do things, that boost that helps us do things. What's interesting is stress can actually help dopamine at times. And if you think about a deadline, that's stress. That's stress. It's a short-term, temporary boost of dopamine. And we go, oh no, someone's at the door. I'm going to clear this path so no one sees all this mess or whatever. If you were like that, I've been like that before. So that can temporarily get you to go into action. But if it's a chronic stress, if it's a long-term stress, it depletes your dopamine over time. And that's why when you're really stressed, you're reaching for sugar, right? You're reaching for those things that can boost it. I need some caffeine. I need this, and those are the things that cause us just to max out. So yeah, I'm going to skip past my other notes about this. And later I'll think, I forgot to talk about that. But there is a stress dopamine cycle. And that is, if you have stress, you have the cortisol. And so your stress goes up, your cortisol goes up, the dopamine goes down, your motivation goes down. And then the things that you have to do go up, right? So when you're not able to accomplish things, it goes through the cycle of, because of having stress and lowering your dopamine, lowering your motivation, you have a whole day to get something done. Maybe you don't, but there are days that I feel like that. I feel like I have these big windows. And because I let the stress of something else come in, it can disrupt it. It makes it so I'm not even accomplishing what I want to do, and then I have more to do afterwards. So look at what might be bringing stress into your life. I know there are many people that have high stress jobs or high stress life, a lot of family members or someone that you're caring for. If you have that high stress life, then what you need to do is learn how to manage your stress. We can reduce stress a lot by not letting it come in the first place. And then we can also just figure out how to manage the stress. And that can be with the things that can increase that happiness feeling in the brain. And that's going for the walk, all those things that I've mentioned before, laughing with a friend, laughing with a TV show, laughing with a podcast. Oh my goodness, I have a podcast that makes me giggle all the time. So finding those things that can reduce the stress for you. Could be deep breathing. Breathing can be really helpful. Years ago, well, a few times actually. So during COVID, I was missing my yoga people. And at first I was only teaching on audio. So I thought, I'll just, make some audio recordings of breathing techniques to help people in my classes and stuff. And it was really interesting because I was just sitting there in a chair leading them through the breathing. And I noticed my own nervous system just getting calmer and calmer and calmer. And then when I had injuries, like I had to have wrist surgery and stuff, after that, I made recordings for them. And just being in bed and on medication for my pain, calmer, calmer, calmer. It would just really help, even with my pain management and stuff, to have that calmness in my body. So let's talk about a routine. Morning, finding the ability to have the sunlight if you can. You might live where there's not a lot of sunlight. So find other things that give you that feeling. Lighting a candle can give that feeling. It's not the same, UV ray benefit or whatever you're getting with your melatonin production in your skin and all that. Or vitamin D. What am I saying? Melatonin, vitamin D production in your skin. So you're not going to get that from a candle, but it might relax you. If you like to see a fire, if you like to see a flame and you can light up a candle, if you live somewhere where you're allowed to do that, then do it. If you have a fireplace and you can light a fire in your fireplace, that can be calming. I keep saying think for yourself, which sounds like I'm talking to a child. I'm not. But think about your own life and how you can find things that are calming for you, that can just get you in a mellow, brain, relaxed mood. Your brain's not tired. You're not stressed. What can you do to bring it from that stress level to the calm? You don't have to be energized all the time, but maybe you do something that helps you feel energized. It's your exercise, or maybe you eat something and that helps you feel energized. But other things are comfort foods. Those are probably the things that are producing the serotonin, where we sit there, the pasta, the bread, and we're like, just feeling all mellow. So, yeah. Oh, I think that's going to be it. I always say that, and then I think of 5 more things. But, yeah. Anything you think of, if you like to write, if you like to talk to people, if you like to listen to music. I guess there is one more thing I want to talk about, because sometimes stress comes in when we don't plan on it. In fact, a lot of times it comes in, right, when we don't plan on it. And that might be life experiences, and that we can't really help. Unless it's a relationship that's not positive, or a work environment that's not positive. Like if you were able to make a change in your life to reduce that stress, that's one thing. But a lot of things like health issues or injuries or things that happen, accidents or something, whatever problems come in family life, friendships and stuff, if they're things that we want to help with, we need to help with, that we need to be involved with, that's one thing. If it's a relationship we don't have to be in and it's causing problems for us, then that, those are that's what you evaluate is there that kind of experience, that relationship experience that will cause stress, but I'm happy to be here and help, and I will know when to slow down and when to, not exhaust myself. But so you're finding that balance, right? You're finding the balance within the relationships that you're going to keep, you want to help, but you might have to pace yourself with how you're doing it or find ways to get breaks or things. And then there are the relationships that maybe that's stressful and I don't need that relationship in my life anymore, or I don't need that environment. I don't need to work for those people anymore. And those are the things you evaluate. A whole other category is the things that really aren't in your life, you have no control about, but come in somehow. So you read your emails in the morning, and it could even just be hearing about a sale, and then you get distracted and then you're stressed out because you don't know if you should buy it or not, and they're telling you there's only like 6 hours and then it goes away or whatever. So that can be a stress. It's not life altering, right? Unless you're buying something you really can't afford and it causes a problem. You have to move out of your apartment or something. But those kind of things, you have to learn some kind of management for. And I'm saying this, raising my hand high, because I need to learn some kind of management for that. That when I open up my computer or I open up my phone, how many times have you done that intending to write an email or to look something up or to order this thing from Amazon? And usually for me, it happens when I shut my computer, half hour, whatever later, and start to do something else. And I remember, oh, you need to do this. And I thought, that's what I got on my computer to begin with. And some of those things that distract us on our computers or our phones are stressful, especially if we're taking in news from the world or something. And you need to find that balance. How much do I want to know about it? And how much is too much for my own health, my own day, and the things that I need to take care of in my life? And that becomes a huge factor in how balanced you are, in how you're able to function, because now that you understand, and maybe you understood before I did, about how stress can play a part in how well our brain functions and how we get maxed out and how we really aren't as capable as we have been before and we wish we could be, then maybe just block some of that out. Or maybe tell someone who's feeding that information to you. Maybe you have somebody in your life who likes to share all the woes of the world. And at some point, just say, okay, I can't listen anymore. I can't listen anymore. You can say that out loud. I'm a very non-confrontational person, and I've said that out loud about COVID. Before COVID even came, my husband was watching, well, I don't know if he was watching news. He was just reading a lot and telling me for months, this thing is coming. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm like, I don't want to hear about it. If it gets here, tell me. But until then, I don't need to be stressed for 2 months, so you can control. And I just thought, I'm not going to believe it until I wasn't a denier. I was just like, I'm not going to face that until I have to face it. So, and you get to decide what things, at what point you see that information as being needed in your life. It's like my doctor told me. He said, when you see, he used a hunting reference. I don't know if you're a hunter or if you would rather not hunt animals, but he said, I'm realizing I could be talking to a big audience here, but, or a variety of, I'm a people pleaser. I'm trying to please you all, make you all comfortable. But he said, if you see, a wolf coming in the forest, and we have no wolves here, so it's just imaginary for me, but you see a wolf coming in the forest, he said, I'd rather shoot it before it gets too close. So at some point when something's getting closer, you might need to prepare and make, that's just an analogy. It doesn't mean we're going to shoot things. But if there was a wolf coming, I probably would, even though I don't know how to shoot very well at all. But like I live where there's hurricanes now. At what point do I start to think, oh, this might come here and maybe I should buy more water? So Maybe I should get some more food. Maybe I should, I don't know what else. I'm new to the hurricane scene. But we do live in North Florida where they aren't affecting us too terribly. We're in the middle of the coasts. Oh, I think that's it. Another episode that's a little bit everywhere, but my hope is to help you think of all these things so that you can evaluate how a daily routine would be helpful for you. And it can be simple things. It could even be different on different days. It's better if you have the same thing every day to start out and end with. And it's probably easier if you do a similar thing for eating. But if you need to do things like some things are once a week, some things are once a month, you fit those in. And you have that day be that thing. And if planning and consistency is a struggle for you, I hear ya. Sometimes it's easy for me and sometimes it's like, but I don't know. It's having to make that decision, huh? Sometimes some decision's better than no decision. And just seeing how it goes and figuring it out. So thank you for being patient with me as I figure out the YouTubing part of it. If you're just listening on audibly, whatever that's called, if you're just listening and you ever want to check out my YouTube channel, just out of curiosity, just to give me some more followers, subscribers, they call it different things in different places, but that would be great. And really my hope is that not very many people look at it until I get better at it. Today I backed up the camera. I'm a lot more comfortable than having it so close to my face. Different lighting's different every day, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know. Go to my website, renee-allen.com. If you're on my email list, then you might start getting emails from me. I haven't sent any in a little while, but I'm getting more comfortable with my new format. It's crazy having to learn new things and get comfortable with them. But it gives you an opportunity to be in touch with me each week or even in between and let me know how these things are affecting you in your lives. Because I see it in a lot of people's lives. I read about it. But it's fascinating to me that it impacts so many of us in such a great way. And even if you don't have ADHD, but you have a lot of the symptoms, you have a lot of similarities, I'd love to hear how this is helpful for you and what your hurdles still would be. You know, the whole listening to a way to do something better and then think, but that won't work for me because that, I'd love to help with that too, because I know there's a lot of struggles that we have that I might not share, that you may have. But yeah, thank you. My husband kind of hates it when people end a sentence with yeah. But I've learned that when we say things like or yeah or whatever, our brain's just thinking. We're just thinking here at the end or in the middle. And our brains have to rest a little bit, think a little bit, regroup. Sometimes we can talk a mile a minute, and sometimes we need a little yeah. Oh my goodness, thank you again. It's always hard to say goodbye, but I will. So thank you so much for being here. I will be back. Bye.